Good morning and welcome to my channel. My name is Shoshana and I help guide people through life-changing processes. And I want to talk a little bit, I've kind of been having some things flowing through this morning. I want to talk a little bit about becoming a witness to your own life and letting go of expectation. I talk about this quite a bit in quite a few different of my videos, but I want to talk about when you do let go. And when you begin to become a witness in your life, begin to, you have a direction that you want to go in. You can envision the picture of it, kind of, as well as you can, and go into as much detail as you can. And what we are doing in doing this is mustering up that emotion, becoming aware of the way that I feel when I am in that particular life, particular timeline, in present in the life that I want to be in, and then releasing that image and releasing the feeling that I have to make it happen, that I have to push and where is it, and start fighting to get there, and that I have to control and micromanage everything in order to make it happen. Release that. Try to stay in the emotion of that as much as possible, and you'll start seeing that you will already be living it within your current situation. Once you are living the emotion, it is already in existence. So if you can envision, find the emotion, release the vision, and hold on to that emotion as much as possible. So I understand that we're still where we are in our life. So there is a process of reducing that gap in between where you are and what you want. But if you are already living in that emotion, then you will begin to see what is in sync, what is in uh, what is aligned with you, aligned emotionally, aligned vibrationally with you, because everything is around you simultaneously all at once. All of the options are open. It is what you are tuned. You are a tuner. You're like a beacon. You're tuned like a radio station, like a radio, tuned to a certain vibration. So when you tune yourself to that new emotion, you are going to begin to see more and more things that are enhancing, that are backing you up in the way that you already feel is in existence. So if you are feeling a certain way, you start seeing other people that are feeling that way. You start seeing things that will reinforce what you already know to be true. So when you can find that emotion, try to stay in it as much as possible, because that is what is going to tip the scales, right? It's just like I say, when you have a child, when in your childhood, if you felt more in pleasure than in displeasure, when you look back at your childhood, you will have experienced a happy childhood. Whereas even if you had very ecstatic moments and very blissful moments, if more of your childhood you felt unwanted, unloved, out of place, abandoned, then when you look back, right, it's on a scale. If you look back into your childhood now, from an adult perspective, you are going to see your experience as having an unhappy childhood. Even if there were happy moments in there, it's tipping the scale. And it's tipping the scale emotionally. It's always emotionally. So even if our life in somebody else's eyes would be ideal, but we're not happy in our lives, we are going to perceive our lives as unhappy. If we get through a day and we had what we consider to be a hard day, regardless of what the circumstances are, because many people can go through the exact same thing, same experience, and perceive it completely different. One person can perceive it as extremely difficult, and one person can conceive or perceive it as being an okay day or being happy in it. So it's all in our own way of perceiving it, and that is what is going to tip the scale. So when you can become a witness, so you have this ideal emotion, and then you let go of the idea of how it has to come into form in the physical world. Because once you let go of it, you allow the universe to come in and surprise you. Then you're always in wonder. And then you become a witness. You watch the unfolding of it. You watch the magnificence of it. And you will start seeing how things start playing out like you could have, when you let go, you start seeing synchronicities. You start seeing that you are being led by a quicker route than you could have ever pushed to make it happen. You start seeing things unfolding in ways that you could have never conceived, and you could have never planned out, and it happens in a way that is so much more magnificent than you could have planned or micromanaged it into being. And in micromanagement, there's a lot of suffering too, because there's a lot of anxiety in there. Okay, is it going to work like I wanted? It has to play out this way. You have to get in there and be out and constantly nervous about your life. Whereas when you just trust and you allow and you let go, something's beeping, and you allow and you let go, then you allow for the universe to come in and surprise you. And then you're always surprised. And you will see how it happens much quicker and much more fluid and much easier, and without the anxiety. It's you become in a constant state of awe. Wow, I can't believe that happened. Look how that happened. Everything seems to start playing out, and it also kind of becomes a comedy in many of ways. You're watching your life. You become a witness of your own self in your life as well, and you start enjoying every moment. So there are a few notes I wrote down here. So become a witness in your life and begin to see how everything unfolds perfectly. Stand by your word, live intentionally. Okay, so one of the lessons, well, it's something that I've been working on probably throughout my whole life, but is standing by your word. Because when your word is set in stone, that means that you don't say things or make promises lightly. And if you do make a promise, then stand by it, no matter, right? And of course, there are always exceptions to the rules, but if you want to be a trustworthy, stand up, especially also with yourself, then you have to stand by your word. Don't make empty promises. And something that I've noticed with myself is that I try not to make any kind of promises unless I am absolutely 100% sure, obligating myself to that. So sometimes I will say, hopefully, and I intentionally, we will plan this for tomorrow morning, and I will not. Typically, unless I 100% intend on being in that place at that time and doing that thing, I don't lightly say, okay, we'll do that next week. I try to be very, very, very intentional with my word. First of all, my name goes before me. So if I say something, the other side knows that I mean it, and they don't take it lightly. That means if I say that I'm going to be somewhere or do something with someone, they know that I'm going to be there. So they also come and rise to the occasion. And you're only as worth as much as your word. If somebody can't trust your word, that you are going to stand behind it, then all of your words lose meaning. They mean nothing. Even if you really intend on doing something and you promise it, but half the time you make empty promises, then even when you really intend, those words your words will not be worth anything. And also within yourself, if you lightly give promises and then don't stand behind them, you don't take your own self seriously. And that's something that, say in Bible days, your word was worth its weight in gold, right? If you and you, it's almost like in the States they have the system of the credit system, right? It's also along the same lines. How good is your word? How much do you stand behind what you say? Are you living intentionally? And what I find is that when I really pay attention to what I promise and what I say I will do or won't do, first of all, you gain respect from your surroundings, because anybody that is in contact with you can see that everything that you say is purposeful and has a meaning behind it, and you stand behind it. And with myself, I've noticed that either I don't make promises, or I'll say, okay, we'll get closer to the date, and then, or I even say right out, I can intend to come, but I'm not making a promise that I will be there. And then if I do come or do show up for whatever it is, then it's also appreciated more because I had the out. I didn't have to. It wasn't a promise made. And when I do make, so first of all, it's not to make promises and not to give your word lightly. And if you do give your word, even if it's uncomfortable to keep your word, what is more important in the larger scale? So I've recently had an experience with my own self. Right? I have these recording sticks, and I've lost a few along the way. And after I lost one, and I went and bought a new one, and then I found an old one that I had. And I went down to the beach, and I have a friend that actually lives on the beach, and he's very extremely unique. He has these rastas going on. He's super unique, and he has a super unique outlook on life. He's living very intentionally. You know, some people would say, oh, it's a bum, but it's so much grander than that. He lives on the beach. He lives with nature. He lives with his surroundings. He has a very fluid life, and I could see how he would not. His personality, he could not fit into normal society in any standards. His mind is so free and so unique that he could never. He's living the life that he is intended to be living, waking up with the sunrise, fishing for his food. He does a lot of picking his food, and he's living with nature. And it's a really interesting conversation because he has a really unique outlook on life. And he does have internet, and he does sometimes go out and work with local people that do agriculture. So he'll do odd jobs like that, and to make a little bit of a living. So he does have phone, and he does have TikTok. And I told him that he should start making TikTok to just show his style of life, so that people will know that even exists, that is an option. That to see a different way of life, to be open, to show his perspective, because it's so unique. And I told him, you know what, I have an extra pull for videoing. I will bring it to you. And I forgot about it. And every time I went down there for about a month and a half, I went down there twice, and the two times that I went down there, I remembered, oh, I forgot. I told him, I gave him my word. And I'm sure that when he saw me, he remembered that I had promised him a stick. So the last time that I had gone down there, about a week ago, I remembered, and I said, I'm going to find it, and I'm going to take it to him specifically, make a special trip, keep my word. And for me, it was like a reinforcement to myself that if you make a promise, you stand behind that promise. It doesn't matter if you made it lightly or you made it. And it was also a lesson for me. Don't make promises that you don't intend to keep. If you make a promise, you better bring it to him the next time that you come. That is your word. You know, he sees me coming twice afterwards and not bringing it to him. For him, I look like I didn't keep my word. And you are worth what your word is. You are respected as well as your word. So I came home, and I started looking for it, and I searched the whole house. I searched my car. I couldn't find it anywhere. I went and I bought a new one. I took it out of the packaging, and I took it straight to him and gave it to him. I didn't tell him I bought it. I had promised him, and I brought it to him. And for me, it was a lesson. It was a lesson. First of all, I didn't have to promise it to him. If I intended on bringing it to him, I didn't have to promise it to him. I could have just next time brought it to him. And I kind of feel like it was the universe saying, okay, you didn't keep your word. We're taking it away from you. You don't get to keep it anyway. And so because it disappeared, I'm sure it'll turn up sometime around the house somewhere. And but for me, it was a lesson. It was a lesson. Um, and and it was a lesson that was learned very, very sharp. And so I just wanted to share that story. So it's, I stand by your word intentionally. I have a note that I made next to my computer. Next to my computer, I have on the wall all sorts of notes of lessons that I get. So one of them was stand by your word intentionally. And I wanted to share that story. And I wanted to, okay, so one more, the triggers. What triggers you the most are the biggest opportunities for growth. And that's something that I also speak about, is that when you have certain people or certain things that happen in life that trigger you the most, that means that in that triggering is somewhere where you are off, somewhere where you are misaligned. Otherwise, you would not be triggered. If you were above the lesson, it wouldn't trigger you. It would fly right by you. No matter how far out of sync the other person is, you can blame, but blame doesn't help. If you are triggered, you are out of alignment. And the places and the things and the people that trigger you the absolute most are the places, things, and people that you have the biggest opportunities to do healing. Those are your opportunities to make a change in the way that you behave. And the easiest way to do that is from the get-go, when you recognize, first of all, come into the situation knowing, okay, this situation has a trigger for me. I am not going to be triggered. And even if you are triggered, change something in the way that you react. Once you change your reaction, the whole situation will change and you will get new perspective. So if you come into a situation with somebody who is triggering you, do not react. Come in, breathe through it. You don't have to say anything. You don't even have to react. You can just stay in complete quiet and observe, become the observer, and become aware of your emotions. Push through it. You don't have to react. You don't have to say anything. Let the other person speak their mind. Listen for a change. Listen to what they're saying. Try to see their perspective. This is a place where you see what they're saying and what it truly means, because a lot of times what somebody says and what they truly mean is not the same thing. Sometimes people will say one thing even if they think that that's what they mean, but it's actually they're saying that out of a place of being hurt emotionally somewhere else. So it's a protective mechanism. A lot of times people will say things because of something completely different. And if you learn how to listen in between the lines and read in between the lines, many times you'll find what the person is really trying to say. A lot of times they just want to be seen. They just want to be loved. They just want to be accepted. They just want you to listen to them. They want to feel like like they have some kind of weight. They want to prove their worth to you, and you're busy fighting it off that you don't allow them the space to prove their worth, where a lot of times just the acknowledgement of them will be healing for them and will stop that conflict or stop those triggers that are there. So it's really just trying to figure out what's really going on there without being triggered by the situation. Because the triggering, it means that it's touching you in places that you were not healed. So what triggers you the most are the places that you have the biggest potential to do quantum leaps on your spiritual journey. And I just to close this up, I want to show you this tea that I found. Look at the color. It's bright blue tea. It's called butterfly-pea-flower tea. And it has so much healing in it. I looked it up a little bit after I found it at the health food store. First time I've ever seen it. And it is good for anxiety. It is good for vivid dreams. The first night I had such vivid dreams, and I remembered the dreams. And it's good for the for digestive system. It's good for pain. It relieves pain. It relieves stress. It relaxes. It helps sleep. It helps. Also, I've been drinking it a couple of nights in a row. And I just sleep like really good sleep. It's this beautiful blue, and I want to show you when you add lemon to it. Watch what happens. It's so cool. So it's blue now. It has this beautiful tint of blue, and it turns a bright violet. You see the difference in color? The top is still blue, and the bottom turns a really beautiful violet color. So it changes color when you add lemon to it. So it's really, really cool. And read up on it because it has all sorts of cancer healing. It is it's a superfood for sure, and you can feel the difference when I actually felt the difference in my sleep and in the vivid dreams. I just wanted to close off and share that with you guys. And so thank you so much for watching until my next video. And if you would like to schedule a one-on-one with me, my contact information is below in my website. Thank you.